Yep. Let's do this.
Alright. 3, 2, 1. Hello, every pony. This is your favorite fluffy pony, Venomous Pie, the picky pie of this accommodation. Welcome to another episode of Bronimaniacs Discuss. I am with me this afternoon, Twilight Sparkle, Mr. Sharpwit.
It's time to kick ass and chew bubblegum. And I'm all of gum.
I understood that.
Okay.
Yeah,
Violet know why. That intro.
we have a starlight glimmer, Mr. Neon Blade.
A comedian, huh?
We have our Rainbow Dash, Kanata.
Welcome to Who's Line Is It Anyway, where the points don't matter. That's what the points are as pointless as last century.
Wrong!
Hey Neon.
Wrong game show!
Hey Neon, did you hear the final part I said?
What?
I wasn't done. You were laughing while I was doing the introduction, so I don't think everybody heard what I said.
I heard it.
Sorry.
I heard it.
I said that's what the points are as pointless as last century.
Yeah.
Oh!
Bird.
Hell yeah.
We have our apple bloom, Blitz.
Yeah.
Hi.
And we have our cheese sandwich, Drizzle.
I'm not much of a show pony, but I guess I'll do something funny.
Oh, we have our
really
Fluttershy, Miss Violet Bloom.
It's time for a new day in Equestria!
Wow, that was actually really good.
That was perfect.
Nicely done.
What is with people in this blooming group and just having being good voice actors, and then the actual voice actor, myself, is just a bit like, "Hi, I try."
We also have our Vinyl Scratch, Sunny.
Hi.
And a couple things. We do have our Spike, which is Elite Yoshi, but he is AFK at the moment, but we'll announce his presence when he returns. Second of all, we have a special guest this time around. Please welcome a good friend of ours, Misty Shadows.
Hello, every pony.
And the episode we'll be discussing this afternoon will be horseplay. And another title that could be taken extremely out of context.
Horseplay.
So here's how this is going to work. We go in a random order on one positive for the episode. Then we will go in reverse order on one negative. And then we will give our final thoughts and ratings. So, that being said, you know what? Why don't we get our lead performer here to go first this time around? Hey Violet, that's your cue.
Is it because I look like Celestia? That's why you decide to let me go first?
Maybe.
Anyway, my main positive for this episode, I have to say, is the crazy shenanigans with the main six trying to create a new fake sun.
Okay.
Like the crazy like whatever they do to try and replace the fake sun, like Pinkie Pie with a giant yellow balloon, and then a marshmallow that's on fire, aka, and someone already made that marshmallow Rarity.
Yeah.
Really?
I was about to say that. I was about to say, you mean Rarity?
Yes. Anyway, other than that, But I have to say, the biggest surprise of a substitute son that Pinkie Pie could come up with are those fireworks.
That she bought from Trixie in an alley.
Yeah, let's buy a fireworks
Yeah.
from Trixie in an alley at 12 in the morning.
Well, I guess that gave Silverquill finally the answer that she's also as dangerous with pyrotechnic.
Yeah, I have to say that was really, really funny. That was really, really funny. All of that with the trying to get the fake sun and everything.
Agreed.
Agreed.
Especially with Pinkie Pie's response to each of her different attempts.
What? It's realistic.
Jesus, added context with the rarity joke. Oh, jeez. Also, to that idea. You first.
But you know something? I like what Rarity said about the yellow balloon. It's the perfect substitute! Correction, it was the perfect substitute!
Yeah.
That was perfect.
Yeah, it was.
It was, really.
So, if
Yeah.
Also to that
That's pretty
marshmallow,
much it.
I just Also to
Go
the
ahead.
marshmallow, I just say smoking.
Wow.
You mean toasty? Don't you mean toasty?
Oh yeah. Toasty.
Haven't heard that in a while.
yeah, I know. So, if you're finished, Violet, who do you want to pass it off to?
Okay, well, let's see here. Should I pass it off to you or you or you?
Just keep in mind that Yoshi and Drizzle are like to go last.
Yeah, I know. I'm actually debating between the obvious, the moonwalker, or the dancer.
Oh,
Wait, what?
You know what? I decided to go with the moonwalker. So Ven, you're up.
Any walkie? So any walkie? Are you walkie? Any?
I was waiting for that.
Am I the only one who didn't find that amusing and found that weird more than anything?
I did not even get the reference.
Yeah, Shopworth, thank you for that.
Hey, someone has to complete the reference.
Yep.
Good point.
Misty, did you say you didn't get that?
No, I did not.
Really?
Michael Jackson.
Well,
Michael
we'll talk
Jackson.
about this in the post show. We'll
Corner.
talk about it in the post show.
Yeah, we'll do that later. Okay. My biggest positive for the episode is gotta be Celestia herself. I mean, first of all, her presentation, especially with her prancing and such, was just too adorable.
True.
Second,
Don't forget about her talking fast.
yeah.
prancing stuff. Yeah, it's best Celestia.
Mm-hmm. And also, about her quote-unquote bad acting, to me, it never came across as cringeworthy. It was just at the right balance. But pretty much the biggest thing that actually made me fall off my chair in laughter, the return of Trollestia at the end.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
If I recall correctly, this episode was written by the new writer, right?
Yes, this was a new writer.
Okay, already gonna be one of my favorites by that one episode.
But yeah, Celestia herself was really, really good in this episode. Another case where I can say best princess.
I should quote Brony back, but I have no voice like him, so it will sound really bad. So, no Little Jenkins ripoff.
Princess Celestia!
That was actually pretty good.
Substitute.
Not bad.
Not bad. Anyways, that's about it for me. Let's see here. How about I go with our guest? So, Misty, your turn.
Okay, so one thing I really liked, it wasn't even the main focus of the episode, but there was a lot of lore that was introduced that we're going to be talking, that people are going to be talking about long, like for quite a while, like long after the actual episode loses, like we stop talking about the episode itself and we start like discussing background lore. Like we got an introduction of what they did before, but before they had Celestia and Luna to raise the sun and the moon. So they talked about Star Swirl would raise the Star Swirl, and 5 other unicorns would raise the sun, and it would actually consume the powers of 5 unicorns. So that's some deep lore there that it was kind of just tossed off as like a side note, but that I think is going to be relevant to a lot of discussions in the future.
Speaking of those unicorns, I know it's just a cover-up costume, but is it just me, or the one that Yona was wearing could be Clover the Clever?
Could be.
Based on the clover on the on her flank, that could be a thing.
Could be.
Also, however, I'm actually noticing this a little bit of difference between the already known lore and lore from display, because as we know from the heartwarming, I think it was heartwarming Eve.
Yes, it was.
I believe.
It was. Yeah.
In the play, it was stated that all the unicorns were raising the sun and moon. But this time, we actually hear that only time now. I believe there were like 6 unicorns, and stars were doing that before Celestia.
Hashtag retcon.
Well, I think that one is because back then that's literally what the unicorns can do in order for them to get food.
But in hindsight, makes Celestia raising the sun not all that impressive.
Giving how much exhausting there was for 7 unicorns, and Celestia is doing that all day and has strength for every other activity, as we've seen in the Royal Problem.
Touche.
By the way, best princess. I said it. You got it. I have my best princess. This is Celestia. Bite me.
Was it all the unicorns or just the unicorns in general that would raise?
In that lore, it only says the unicorns raise the sun and moon.
So
that's a specific number.
It doesn't necessarily give us a number. I think it generally gives us that's what the unicorn tribe itself did, and that's how they kind of like added to Equestria. That doesn't necessarily mean that all the unicorns were part of that.
So that's actually was an opening to actually make those 7 unicorns. Actually, yeah. Okay. I take what I said.
Yeah, I'll buy that. Point it.
Yeah, because it's now. Yeah, so yeah, that is actually possible. Now I think about it more further. Yeah, okay, I take what I said.
But I think one thing that maybe could be the reason why it's 6 in there, maybe it's just to simplify the play itself.
That's possible.
I mean,
that was 6, not 6 plus stars. So that was 6 all with stars.
Yeah.
My bad.
But still, you get what I mean. I mean, in Heartswing Eve, they have a whole build-up theater with way more resources, and that is actually a little bit more self-made in that episode. So that could be a reason for that too.
Fair enough.
Also, it's a good place to place in our main school 6 in there.
Yeah.
Even though they've been
Anyway.
Yeah. Who do you want to pass it off to, Misty?
I don't know.
you can do what I
Well.
you can do what I do and just go random.
Yeah.
Oh.
I don't think Misty knows any of the names of us yet, really.
Oh,
Okay. Since Drizzle and Yoshi wants to go the last two, you have a choice of Blitzy, Sunny, Neon, Sharp, and Konata.
Oh. I have to choose between people?
Yes.
Yeah.
Not like this.
Pick your favorite.
Oh.
God.
I'll just go with the Blitzy, I guess.
Alright. Yup,
Hey.
let's
Okay.
Have fun.
Go, my man.
When it sort of comes to mine sort of it's very similar to Ven's. Well, that was going to be my positive, but in terms of Ven taking it, I'm going to switch it. In terms of what my positive is, it's realistically the entire premise.
okay.
As you guys know, I usually mention it whenever I can. I am a man of theatre. The theatre is literally my life, other than video games and pastel-coloured horses.
That's
So, I would throw also being a furry in there, but that's just another reason for people to hate me. So in terms of what I liked, I just generally like the general premise, and I felt like Celestia's reaction to someone being on stage, for the first time, I'm being honest here. Having dealt with a lot of novice actors myself, I would call myself not professional level, but at least advanced level. Like, I'm not a professional, I'm still in college, and I'm training to become a tech instead of being an actor, but hell, I'm multi-skilled. In terms of Celestia, in terms of my perspective, probably not for everyone else, is the general stages of what she went through is believable from an acting standpoint, because trust me, when I started getting into acting when I was about 10, I was it's like you start off very, very interested, and then when you actually put it into practice, it's a bit like, what am I doing? What am I, So it's a bit like, you're a bit like people expect you to instantly know when you're thrown into a new field. But with Celestia, it mainly came down to how she started for me was very, very believable. And obviously, I know it's you have to fill it within a 20-minute runtime. Celestia sort of takes the director's role, if you've realised at the end, away from Twilight.
Yep, I've noticed.
Twilight sort of just gets shafted from the side. And obviously, all the techniques they talk about, improvisation, and it's a bit like miming, that set off all the alarms. Like, I was in a call with, I think, who was it? Ven, who was it yesterday? Ven, Drizzle.
It was me, Looney, Wolfie, and Ben.
Yeah, and they heard my live reaction, and I was just, screaming for, the entire way through this episode.
My Lyra hurt.
So, this episode for me really, season 7 so far in the past 2 episodes have been actually hitting it on the head in terms. I know the phrase relatable is sort of a taboo term. You can't really say it, depending on which way you say it. But in terms of what I'm saying, yeah, seeing obviously how the writers have actually portrayed, I wouldn't be too surprised if this new writer actually has some experience in the theatre. Because in terms of my experience as a theatre student, this was done realistically near to perfection.
Well, either that or she just, because Wait, that was she or he? Because
She, pretty sure.
thank you, thanks. But either that, or she just has some friends or colleagues that has a theater experience, so they can actually share some knowledge that's needed for that episode.
When it comes to script writing, it stems from theatre, but also being a media student, it's a bit like both of those elements, like all of the performing arts, to some degree intertwine, especially media and drama, and media and theatre. Those two are very closely linked, because if you didn't know, if it weren't for the theatre being a thing, good old William Shakespeare, we wouldn't have any of this currently. Because that's where script writing came from, elements of a performance came from. I know the whole animation thing stems from the whole 1920s, but if it weren't for the people who pioneered theatre, none of this would have ever happened. Keep that in mind.
Fair enough.
Salas Puriorik.
I knew him well.
Who do you pass it off to, Blitz?
Let's go Sharp.
For that quote. Okay, first of all hail Princess Violet Bloom. I want her this final staff.
Wait, what happened?
Second, for my positive, 2 words. Cheerful Celestia. The very beginning with Celestia prancing around. That made this episode by itself. The rest is like that was something episode. Okay, thank you. That was the best part of Celestia I've seen ever since the Celestial Advice and Royal Club Random. I mean, first episode with Celestia, we have so much for her. We see more natural side of her. Thank you.
Anyways.
No. Anyways, I like that. That's made this episode for me pretty much, and the rest is like made it even better. Okay. Who. Konata.
Okay, my positive for this episode is Applejack. The way that she was presented in this episode, the how she was the voice of reason in this episode, she was one of the best characters in this episode. This is how Applejack should always, be portrayed as, in my opinion.
Hashtag don't blame Applejack.
Yeah, not like the winking Applejack face this time.
Yeah.
Yep.
I will still try and bring up hashtag blame Applejack whenever possible.
Yeah.
But for now, hashtag Applejack did it good.
Yep. If they had like focused on this aspect of her, beforehand instead of like waiting till now to do it, I'm sure Applejack would be a lot higher to other people as well. So it's finally great to finally see Applejack be shown in this kind of light, the way that a lot of fans have been wanting to see out of her for the longest time.
It's because we haven't seen something like... I see where you're coming from. It's because we haven't seen something like this from Applejack since, I think, about Season 3. Season 4, maybe, but I don't believe we saw anything Season 5 or 6. It's like with Pinkie Pie and Applejack. They always work best when they're put into a supporting role.
Yeah. What was I going to say? Oh yeah, so sorry. I'm sure that there has been small moments here and there of Applejack being like this, but this was like the one episode that she just shined the brightest, in my opinion, out of like any other episode that Applejack has ever been a part of, focused character or side character wise. I don't know if any of you would agree with me on that.
To each his own.
But that's pretty much all I have to say for my positive. Keep it up, Hasbro, on making Applejack like this.
Applejack more episodes than Twilight has, believe it or not.
I believe
What'd
it.
you say, Jessel?
Yeah.
What'd you say?
Applejack has appeared in more episodes.
Applejack has appeared in more episodes than Twilight has?
Yep.
Yes. Whether it be like background, just a cameo, some main character have been in more episodes than Twilight.
I'm not surprised. I'm sure that there are like numerous episodes that Twilight was not a part of.
Also, Applejack did better than Rarity in the past few episodes. There, I said it.
I agree with that.
I mean, I would say this, even risk. She made it for this little misfortune, honest apple, because that wasn't quite her fault. Not entirely, but she still got goofed. But I'm getting off the topic.
Yeah. So who's the last one to go before the other two go?
Either Neon or Sunny.
Okay. Neon, then Drizzle, Spike.
Okay, I'll pass it off to Neon.
So my turn. Okay.
Yes.
Yep.
Because that's my turn.
I would say for me the big positive of this episode, I just go with the obvious, obviously with the development with Celestia and Twilight, like the personal connection. I really like that moment when they're both flying and discussing what happened. It just shows a completely different side, especially between both of them. Not as a teacher and a student, but really as two who lived really close together.
Yeah. We don't get enough of those kind of moments in this series.
No, we did not. Go on.
I would even dare to say it's. I would even dare to say it's even better than our other obvious Celestia episode we had, in one way or another. I know it's a bit of a harder stretch, but just the fact with the conversation alone and how Celestia actually gets says, okay, we are pulling this around. I really enjoyed that. Also, but there's only one thing I'm kind of which is kind of sad about the fact that we had that scene. We didn't really get to see what shenanigans the others have dudes to stole them to play.
Other than Spike and Tomatoes thrown at him.
Yeah. Yeah, but I definitely go with that as my positive with the whole Celestia in general. Actually, in that episode, I'm pretty sure we could say that's more the Celestia episode than anything.
I think we can all agree to that.
Better than Celestial Vice, at least.
I would even dare to say that too. Yeah.
Celestial Vice was a bad episode.
It wasn't a bad episode. Whatever. So yeah, who was left? I think it was Sharp, right?
Sunny.
It was
left.
Sunny.
Sunny. Okay, then Sunny. Your turn. My bad.
It's okay. I mean, I just kind of liked everything but the episode, but if I were to pick one thing in particular to focus on, I would say I absolutely love the interaction between Celestia and Twilight, and also just the main six in general.
Huh. Okay.
I just really liked, I guess, kind of the idea that it's mentor and student, but they've kind of been shifting more into seeing each other as equal. at least Celestia kind of treats Twilight a little bit more like an equal. Twilight still sees her as a mentor. I just really like that interaction. Otherwise, again, I just like pretty much everything about this episode. That's just one thing in particular that I personally fell in love with. So, I guess I might as well pass it off to Drizzle because I don't know if Yoshi's here yet.
Nah, I have to go next anyways. Yoshi wants to go last, and I'm trying to get his attention because his turn's almost up.
Yeah, we know.
If we need to delay, I guess we could try, but
I ain't gonna be able to delay too much.
Did somebody ask for a distraction?
Oh god.
We need a circus bear.
What we could always do is what we could always do is just go to our negatives, go in reverse order and go to our negatives and wait until our lead comes back and then pass it on to him whenever the next person is done with the negatives.
Yep.
Okay. Well, I guess if I have a positive, it would have to be Celestia's interaction with, like Sunny said, the main six. She also gets a little more screen time too. I mean, we haven't really had a main Celestia episode since Celestial Problems. Am I right?
A Royal Problem.
Yeah, Royal
Celestial,
Problems. But that was more of like a Starlight episode. Wait, right? I don't know.
That was Celestial Advice, then was the student premiere, and then we got Royal Problem, which was more of a
Starlight.
That was the one where they switched the cutie marks.
Yeah, we got that too. It's nice to see we're gonna get some more episodes where Celestia will interact with them, though.
Agreed.
And the way she was able to problem solve the stage at the end with the main six also was nice too.
Yeah, that was.
I mean, I just love it whenever we see Celestia not as like this abstract figure that's not there, but actually see her interact like any other pony.
Yeah, especially since she's used as an expression a lot of the times.
We didn't even get that in a Royal Problem with Celestia.
No, we didn't.
No, she's just kind of in the background.
Also, can I add something, Drizzle? I especially love how Celestia interacted with Fluttershy.
Yes.
Oh yeah, true.
And Fluttershy just takes it like a pro, like just breathes into a bag, and then they just have a normal conversation.
I think that's going to be something that's going to be like hidden to a lot of people when talking about this episode. The fact that they brought up Fluttershy's stage fright and how that was handled, it's like it's not completely gone, but she has made a lot of progress in getting over it.
Yeah, great nod to continuity.
It also just felt like every character was themselves in this episode. Nobody felt out of character.
True.
Very true.
Also,
not sure if Yoshi is come back, but in the meantime, Drizzle, you can say you're negative.
Okay. Well, I guess since Yoshi's dead somewhere, my negative is probably going to be that they made too much of an effort. They made too much of an effort to try and make Celestia seem like a bad actor, even though she didn't really seem all that bad in my opinion. She just feels it felt more like she was out of touch with other ponies rather than a bad actor. Like, for example, the scene where she's trying to take acting lessons in Twilight School. It just seems like she doesn't know how to communicate more, not that she's a bad actor per se.
Well, to be fair, Drizzle, this is Celestia's first time acting. I mean, when you act for the first time, you're not going to be very good at all. I'm sure Blitzy will tell you that.
I know.
Excuse me?
That's the rule.
What are we talking about? I heard my name mentioned.
Actually, Conrad, I think that's the thing with everything you would try for the first time.
True.
That's true.
She's probably not opposed to speaking in front of crowds, though. That's for sure. She's probably got to do that on a regular basis.
Whoever wants to talk.
Careful how you word that.
Okay, I will say what Shopwood said about doing anything for the first time you're going to be bad at. That's true 90% of the time, but there are those very rare occasions where you do something for the first time and you just feel like you have some kind of talent in it.
Like me with video games, per se.
I sort of see where you're coming from with that. It's like I do video games professionally, and also obviously it's acting, and also going on about the whole first time acting thing. Yeah, obviously talking about what I've experienced. Yeah, it's obviously whenever you try a new thing, of course you're going to be nervous about it whenever you first do it.
Yeah,
also,
true.
I don't think it was nerves for Celestia. It was just that this was Celestia's first time acting, so of course she's not going to be a good actor the first time she tries to do it.
No, I got that. I'm just saying it felt like it was forced that she was supposed to, like, they were trying to make her as bad as possible, but she wasn't really all that bad. And I understand that whole thing about people being a little nervous on the first time doing something. That's every special guest on a podcast in a nutshell.
Yeah.
Blanks.
Fair point.
Yeah.
Anyways, is that it?
If you
Does anyone have anything to add?
if you don't, Sunny, and then it's your turn.
Okay, go for it then, Sonny.
I kind of did agree a little bit with Drizzle. That my only real negative is that I didn't like the fact that Celestia was quiet, even though it's literally her job to stand in front of groups of people and talk. Just, I don't know why she couldn't just speak like normal. It doesn't make sense. I don't know. Otherwise, I don't really have much of a actual negative for the episode. I would say just kind of
Royal Canterlot voice.
it's. Well, yeah, that too. I don't like the Royal Canterlot voice used by any character.
I actually like the fact that we finally see Celestia using it because, well, before it was only Luna.
That is true. We've only seen Luna use it up until this point. It's just kind of, I don't know, I find it annoying and pointless.
Now we only need Cadence to use it, and we have a complete package.
But she wasn't around for old Equestria.
Actually, Twilight needs to use it too. But like Starlight says, she's not a princess.
Fame and misfortune.
Oh.
Right, fair enough.
Yeah, I guess that's really it. Just that, like, one scene. Just, it's your job, Celestia. You shouldn't be that bad at it. Anyway, I think it's Neon.
Yep.
For the next negative.
Yep, Neon's turn.
Whew. Negative on the episode. Whew. That's actually a hard one for me. Okay. I have no idea, actually. I don't really have anything particular to nitpick against the episode.
Alright. Do you want to just pass it to Kanata?
I'm gonna pass it off to, yep.
Alrighty.
Okay, my negative for this episode is Pinkie Pie. Now, this may sound very weird but hear me out on this. She seemed a little off to me with how she came across in this episode. Normally I would chalk everything that Pinkie Pie does with it's Pinkie Pie, don't question it, and a lot of her stuff is funny. But what she did in this episode, it came across more as being rude and destructive more than anything. With the firecrackers, with the marshmallow and setting the marshmallow on fire and possibly burning the set, the disruption of Applejack over 300 times, even though she asked her to stop like a lot. So I'm sorry, Shopwood. I'm sorry. Anyway,
No. That's fine. I actually enjoy this. Keep going.
God of War.
Okay, I got
one thing to that. Boy.
Anyways, I just saw Pinky's antics more of rude and destructive more than funny. I can get why some people find it funny. I mean, I would be lying if I said I didn't have a good chuckle, but at the end of the day, it just felt like her antics were just more destructive and rude than funny. It's not to the levels of feeling vanilla levels. It's not up there, but it's not to that level. But it's a little bit up there with how she was portrayed in this episode, at least in my opinion. I know a lot of people may disagree with what I'm saying, but that's just how it came across to me personally. And that's all I have to say for my negatives.
I actually kind of feel it. I mean, the marshmallow was kind of funny, but the fireworks, how would anyone in the world think that's a good idea?
That was potentially dangerous.
That was terribly dangerous.
Well, even with the marshmallow and setting the marshmallow on fire and possibly burning the set, I mean, I know Pinkie Pie's trying to be funny and everything, but you're causing a lot of harm around you that I don't think that she was aware of. Or maybe she was aware of, but she still did it anyways. I don't know.
Based on the size of that blaze, that was a very, 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 very large fire, and that just set the whole place on fire. And
also the fact that the parts of the burning marshmallows were dropping all over the stage.
Yeah.
I think the new writer was trying to add her as a comedy relief, but didn't maybe quite got Pinky in that episode. But okay, that's the new writer. Let it give it a pass. For me, it's
better comic relief was probably Rainbow Dash here.
I'm sure she will get better at writing Pinkie Pie the more that she writes episodes.
Mm-hmm. First time for everything. And before I pass off, I interrupted Applejack, but the confetti 327 times. Well, or in this case, 328. I had to.
Can't blame you on that one.
Yeah.
Alright, so I believe it's your turn, Sharpwit.
Boy! Twilight! You really thought... Shut up, Neon. I'll mute you.
Twilight negative.
Go on.
Anyways, Twilight, you really think that bringing someone with no experience as an actor to be a lead role in a rather big play is a good idea? Even if we're talking about Celestia?
Yeah.
Or even the fact that you notice that she's a terrible actor, even though that's the point of the episode. Basically, I don't like Twilight's attitude in this episode. Not show version. I know that was the point of the episode, but still, the whole idea of taking and giving lead role to someone who actually have no acting experience is not a good idea. I think Litzy would also be with me on that it's not a good idea. As someone who has some experience in theater and acting.
Yeah, Sharp, about that notion. I know it's not really in the context of the episode, but welcome to Hollywood.
LOL. Oh my god. Savage, Vin. Savage.
Yellow.
What?
Yeah.
Yo.
I'm back.
So, in all honesty...
Oh yeah, so because I was actually talking about something to maybe actually appeal to you, that the very fact that Twilight was on the spot was giving the lead role to someone with no acting experience. How terrible idea was it?
Yeah. I'm with you, Sharp.
In terms of that concept, that is probably just plot convenience. That's probably obviously plot convenience, but if that was a real life scenario, then the director would basically just be the biggest idiot alive. Which actually segues into my negative quite well.
But we're gonna hold off on it a little bit because our Spike, Mr. Elite Yoshi, has returned.
Oh, cool.
Yep. Hello. Sorry about that. Yeah, I was doing a lot of yard work outside and it took longer than expected.
It's alright.
Yeah, especially seeing as how the rain just let up. Especially seeing as how the rain just let up around here. So.
Okay, just get on with it and get move on.
All right. Well, anyway, so, well, I guess positive. I just love this episode overall. But if there was one thing that I had to talk about for a positive, it would just be Celestia herself. I know somebody probably already might have said this, but I just love how Celestia was like so down to earth in this whole episode.
A negative?
Yeah, a negative. I suppose if the one negative was that, well, I think Twilight's stubbornness might have been the negative for me. I mean, seriously, you know that the problem can be solved when AJ is the one being the voice of reason for the whole episode.
Thank you.
Yeah. I mean, it definitely makes up for the whole, misunderstanding her granny in the previous episode. Yeah.
I can agree with that.
Yeah. I understand Twilight's intentions. I mean, she's been so close with Celestia ever since she was accepted into that school for gifted unicorns and everything, and I get she didn't want to hurt her feelings, but I mean, she has to realize that Celestia is not like a celebrity. She's just like every other pony who just happens to be an alicorn.
And princess.
Yep, true.
So if you're finished, Yoshi, I'm gonna pass it off to Blitz.
Okay.
Yellow. So going on about my negative, it's mainly how Twilight is portrayed in this episode. Mainly about how basically how Twilight is portrayed in like a really, really, really bad light. Like, I know this episode, in my opinion, it's brilliant, but it's like, I know the writers had to do it. They made Twilight stupid for the sake of the plot. Like, let's be honest here. The whole decision of making Celestia lead actor is probably because of being starstruck. Let's be honest here. And it's a bit like, you're the same title as her. Get over yourself, Twilight.
Again, Starlight says she's not a princess.
Yep.
Oh yeah, also dick move, Starlight. Dick move. Twilight is the better princess, in my opinion.
That was a bit of a weird comment from Starlight.
I just don't like Starlight. Anyway, in terms of what I'm really saying, it's mainly just going on about how Twilight is just negatively portrayed, and obviously how Twilight came off at the end. It's a bit like, well, you should have listened to Applejack and have just been honest, and none of this would have happened, you dumbass.
Yep.
So, like, this episode, in my opinion, yeah, this episode is still a perfect 5 out of 5, but that's the only real negative thing I can see. Just Twilight being a blatant idiot.
Alright, Misty, you're next.
I mean, I was thinking the same thing with just Twilight. I don't know if it's out of character isn't just the right term, because she didn't feel entirely out of character, but she knows Applejack for all of 5 minutes in season 1, episode 2, or I think is it 2, and she's willing to like fall off a cliff for Applejack. But now in this episode, she Applejack keeps saying this over and over, and she won't freaking listen. And it's like, just you don't have to like kick Celestia out of the play, but you could relegate her to a background role where she'd be better suited, so she could still be in the play, but it wouldn't have the full ramifications of a lead actor or actress or whatever. Like that, I found Twilight's refusal to listen and to just keep trying to push her idea that Celestia needed to be the lead actor. Yeah, it was interesting, and I feel like it is something that Twilight would do, but I thought she would have like moved past that by now. Considering we're on season 8, she was made a princess 5 years ago, so you think she would realize that by now that her and Celestia are equals, and she doesn't need to like.
No. Because of what happened 2 seasons ago. Because of something that happened in a certain Celestia episode from last season.
True.
The royal problem where Twilight would freak out of the fact that Celestia and a negative sort of word like don't or not in the same sentence is terribly bad. Like doesn't exist in the dictionary sort of thing.
Good
well,
point.
That is true, but you have to But you also have to remember that Twilight has put Celestia on a high pedestal. Ever since she's become closer with her teacher, and then becoming the role of an alicorn. She's basically alongside Celestia now. So it's like, I don't know, she's got to like make a good impression on her or something.
Yeah, I guess she's putting herself in a higher standards than beforehand. Now that she's a princess.
Yeah, but here's the thing: the
She's
way
not a princess.
Twilight was treating is basically her continuing with her little fantasy that Celestia is a Mary Sue.
Even though she's not.
Exactly. Twilight's little fantasy is that Celestia is the perfect little idol that everyone in Equestria sees, basically a Mary Sue.
Well, if you think about it, that's kind of how some of the fandom thought of Celestia back during the earlier seasons. I mean, whenever Celestia would make an appearance, she would also, just come in, use her magic to solve the problem, like with the conclusion to Lesson 0.
But it's kind of funny, because isn't Twilight the one who knows Celestia personally? The rest of them don't even know anything about her, really.
Well, yeah, that's true.
Raising the sun and stuff.
I will continue about this in my negative. Continue.
Are you finished, Misty?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, the majority of my complaint was with not listening to Applejack, but that was said to death. So yeah, whoever's up next can you go.
That would be me. And before I go, Violet, shall I get a soapbox ready for you?
Yes.
Okay, I still got it.
Oh dear.
Alright, so actually, all you the negatives for Blitz and Misty kind of segues into my negative, and it's more of a cause and effect scenario. Knowing that there was an obvious solution right in front of our faces, it kind of makes the whole heart-to-heart scene with Celestia and Twilight pretty hollow. I mean, I get it. It's a nice scene and all. On its own, it's a nice scene. But in terms of the conflict of the episode, which, by the way, could have been solved in the whole entire conflict could have been solved in just the first act.
Okay.
But, I mean, with the heart-to-heart talk scene, it was nice on its own, but given the context of the episode, it just makes that scene very hollow. Like, well, it could have been magnificent. I just felt nothing because of what happened during the episode, which I get the feeling it could have been solved a lot sooner. It's not a total deal breaker for me, but it is something. It is definitely something that I thought was worth mentioning. So, that being said, I'm gonna hand my soapbox to Violet because she's next.
I'm getting snuggles ready.
And I don't want any interruptions, so everyone mute. Thank you. Alright. My negative for this episode is honestly the implication of Twilight. How she views Celestia. Okay, it's true that Twilight at first views Celestia as the teacher, like the high standard princess from the very beginning of the show, but then eventually it started to slowly go down a bit. Like she's starting to slowly seen as an equal with Celestia after being an alicorn. But she still kept her little fantasy about what Celestia is supposed to be. A perfect princess that was beloved by everyone in Equestria, aka Twilight sees Celestia and praise her as a Mary Sue. And this episode only justified that fact by the most important thing in the episode, and that is how Twilight refuses to accept the fact that Celestia is a terrible actor, refuses to accept the fact that Celestia could not even do a proper acting, and the fact that Celestia never had done any acting before. Twilight refuses to believe all of those things about Celestia that has a big no at the front, which is Celestia had that with no acting experience, and no participating in a play. All of that Twilight wants to change from the big no, which is Celestia's weakness, to a big yes, in order to keep that perfect Mary Sue goddess figure that Twilight had seen her since day one. And I meant day one as a filly, not day one of the show. And the fact that Twilight refused to listen to AJ to the point of completely forgetting about one of the elements of harmony, for crying out loud. Yeah, I'm with Celestia. I wouldn't be angry at Twilight for actually giving constructive criticism or the truth about something that I'm not good at. But I would definitely be angry if someone had lied to me, especially if they had lied to me for more than just a few minutes or a few hours. Twilight basically lied to Celestia for like almost the entire day. All so Twilight could try and make Celestia be that perfect goddess figure that doesn't have any flaws. And I'm done.
Okay, from what I have to say about that, Violet, I can see where you're coming from, but I somewhat disagree. I never thought that Twilight did this just, to put her in that vision that she has in her head. I feel it as Twilight just trying to be nice. Like,
Well, here's the thing, Ven. Did you pay attention from the very beginning of the show when Twilight was a little filly? Her her first exposure of Celestia was her raising the sun, and then she studied all her time at home in order to enter Celestia school, and the next time she saw Celestia was when she got her cutie mark. And then from there, she stayed at the library, followed Celestia's orders because she believes that Princess Celestia knows best.
But even she's starting to figure out isn't always the case.
Exactly, and she only realized that now. She has a hint of it during Royal Problem, but she doesn't actually experience the fact that Celestia is not the perfect goddess that Twilight knew since fillyhood. She only knows that now when Celestia actually shows her biggest weakness, and that is her lack of acting skills.
Yeah, I can see where you're coming from, but I was still under the assumption that Twilight was just trying to be nice. Then because of the line that she said within this episode, yeah, I know I gotta be honest, but there's also been a good friend of allowing the dream to come true. And to Twilight's credit, she did try to relegate Celestia to a background role within the play before she snapped. So, yeah, I will agree that Twilight was getting struck with the idiot stick in the episode. I will give her some credit. But that's just me. So, yeah, that being said, let's get on with our ratings, shall we? Little update. Puma, our rarity, who couldn't show up today, he gave the episode a 4 out of 5. So, Violet, what would you give the episode?
4.
Okay.
I would have given it a 5 out of 5 if it wasn't for the fact of Twilight being hit with an idiot stick for most of the episode. Her idiocy is what made me deduct 1 point, not half point.
Okay. As for me, this would have been a 5 out of 5 if it weren't for Twilight, but I'm honestly a little softer towards it. So instead of a 4 out of 5, it's a 4.5 out of 5 for me. And that's mainly due to the comedy at the episode. I thought the episode was really funny. And especially Celestia herself. I think that's what made the episode for me, was Celestia herself.
Don't forget Trixie's fireworks being related to drugs.
Okay then.
Well, you're buying fireworks in the back alley at midnight. Come on now.
Anyway, so that's why I'm giving a 4.5 for me. So, Misty?
I'd probably give it a 4 out of 5 personally. It seems that's an 80%, so that's still a solid rating. It's an A minus.
Alright, so 4 for Misty. Let's
5 out of 5.
Okie dokie. Sweet and to the point. Alright, let's see. Sharp?
Yeah, I'm also with everyone that Twilight is a breaking point of this the episode. However, thanks to the development for Celestia, I'm also a bit softer on this episode, so 4.5 out of 5. I also give Violet a warm snuggle.
Let's see. Kanata?
I'm going to give this episode a 4.5 out of 5.
4.5? Okay.
Wait, I wasn't done. I enjoyed the comedy in this episode. I enjoyed Celestia in this episode. Applejack was in one of her best episodes yet, even though that she was just a side character. And I liked the added touch of improv that was added in this episode. They didn't need it to add the improv characters and to add improv in general, but it was really awesome to see them go out of their way to add that small touch. Pinkie Pie acting a little out of character, even though what she did was still kind of funny, and Twilight and how she acted throughout this episode are the two big problems I have with this episode. But it's still a very fun episode I can go back and watch nonetheless. 4.5 out of 5 for me.
Alright, Neon?
Uh, 4 out of 5 for me.
Okay. Let's see, who else is next? Sunny?
I'm giving it a 5 out of 5, and it might also partially be because I feel like I kind of have some things that have happened to me that makes me feel very similar for the episode, so I don't know, I guess I kind of feel for Twilight a little bit here. And to be honest, let's compare it to School Days or like any of the other Twilight problem episodes. This has by far not been the worst that she's been.
And another update thanks to Drizzle. Little Looney, Mod Pie, also couldn't make it today due to college reasons. He gave the episode a 4.5.
I'm starting to see the pattern here.
And speaking of Drizzle, it's your turn.
I also give it a 4.5 out of 5.
Okie dokie. And Yoshi?
Well, okay. Before I give my final rating, I'm just gonna say this. I actually have to fully agree with Violet on her negative with the implications that this episode has as a whole, because when I look back on the series as a whole, yeah, I mean, during the first two seasons of Friendship is Magic, a lot of people did see Celestia on this high pedestal, but I think they started to realize that she wasn't as perfect as the show made her out to be, following that little fight she had with Chrysalis during the finale of A Canterlot Wedding. But I guess how I would picture Twilight is somebody who's in denial that Celestia, is not as perfect as the show has made her out to be. I don't know, that's just basically how I feel about it after thinking about it for, while Violet was talking about her negative.
If I may add, it's not exactly maybe the show, but for the long time before the Canterlot Wedding, the only insight on Celestia we had was coming from Twilight. Maybe that's why the whole fandom was also viewing Celestia as a Mary Sue character, the perfect being, which this previous last 2 episodes, pretty much, including the 8, actually confirms that we were wrong. We are all wrong. Twilight fandom, we all were wrong. That Celestia is not perfect.
Yeah, exactly.
I think
character.
Like I said, the viewpoint was probably because Twilight was idolizing Celestia.
Yeah.
I
can get behind that.
That's a fair point.
But yeah, final thoughts. Okay, so despite how Twilight acted in the episode, I honestly believe this was a great episode for me. The episode was pretty great, especially with Celestia being one of her best appearances in the series since A Royal Problem. And also, the comedy was pretty balanced with both subtle and not subtle moments in it. Yeah. What, were you going to say something, Neon?
Oh, sorry. It's actually my bottle opening up. My bad. I didn't mean it was that loud.
All right. But yes, this was pretty. I think this is probably my favorite episode of season 8 so far. So, I like I said, I think like with a lot of people, I would have given this a 5 out of 5 if it had not been for what Violent had said. And I've already said I agree with her point 100%. So yeah, I'm gonna be giving this episode a 4.5 out of 5. Like I said, it probably doesn't bother me as much as it does. It's as much as it does Violet, but I do have to agree it is a flaw that this episode did bring up.
I mean, I'm still under the viewpoint that Twilight was trying to be nice, but I can see where you're both coming from. So, yep, I gone on and did my calculations. So let's see this. Okay. Alright, here we go. The overall group rating for Horseplay is a 4 out of 5.
Really?
Wait, 4? I thought it would be
Really?
4.5.
Did you double check?
Well, there are 10 of us here, and 2 more people submitted the rating.
Well,
I thought there would be more 4.5 out of 5s than 4s.
How many 4 out of 5s did we have?
1, 2, only 2. Let me double check.
Yeah, I think the math might be wrong there.
Yeah, it's a little off. I mean, I could have sworn that there were more 4.5s than 4s. Someone even gave it a 5.
And you guys are right, my math was incorrect. Well,
You had one job, Ben.
It strikes again.
One job.
I also have one job.
Mamma mia.
Just one chance.
it is actually a 4.5. Yeah, would have been the first time I got it incorrect.
Yeah, I'm starting to notice a pattern here.
Yeah, but at least it doesn't come often.
Yeah.
At least your math is better than Screw Attacks.
Oh. Alright, so that being said, thank you all so much for watching, and yeah, Violet, can you give me back my soapbox?
Hard bargain there.
And never mind, I'll do it later. So, anyways, thank you all so much for watching. Tune in next week where it's gonna be an interesting one. Because next week's episode is a parent map.
Oh, this one.
Okay, first off, okay.
I'm not. No, just from what I saw in the promo that they had on Discovery Family.
No spoilers. No spoilers.
Yeah.
The lovely people watching are gonna hear this.
Before I close off, first off, I understood the reference to the title. It's kind of obvious. Second,
Sorry.
Dogs. Oh.
Second, I read the synopsis for the episode, and I'm only gonna say this, and I'm trying to say it as vague as I possibly can. It might change my opinion on a certain character, if done right.
I'm already holding myself to not squeal in excitement.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep my fingers crossed for this one.
I don't know what to make of this, but this sounds like this is going to be a exciting episode next week.
Third, it's going to be an interesting podcast next week. I can guarantee that.
Oh, yes, indeed.
Indeed.
So, that all being said, we'll see you all next time. Peace.
Bye.
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 Tranquility. Bye.
And may the flute be with you.